I'm going to call the meeting to order, and if everyone could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Minutes to consider and act upon the minutes of April 5th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded.
Any discussion?
Nope.
All good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hey, Nance, by the way.
Hello.
Next item, number 4, is the resignation of Sheila Dravis, Affordable Housing Committee. She resigned on April 7th, and her term was to 11/23. So I just want to acknowledge Sheila. She has served since November 2019. And I just want to thank her for her service on the committee and for her efforts on behalf of our community. And I'll open it up to the board if they have anything they'd like to say.
Just to wish Sheila well on the next adventures and to say thank you so much for your service. While we haven't served together, I've heard so many great stories about how you've been an inspiration, Sheila, to, I don't know if you're listening, but to the inspiration that the work people are doing here in town. So thank you very much.
I'd just also like to extend my appreciation for her time and efforts on behalf of the town and wish her all the best in the future. So thank you.
Thank you. And I also would like to acknowledge Ann Catus, who is also resigning from the Bike and Pedestrian Committee. And I'll open that up too if anybody would like to make any comments.
I'll just say similar thanks for all your work and effort on behalf of the town.
Ditto. Thank you, Anne.
Thank you both. The next item is number 5. It's an appointment to the Affordable Housing Committee. Heather Dombrowski, and I would ask for an amendment to change.
I'll make the motion to amend it. I guess Heather was originally a Democrat and recently has changed to an independent or unaffiliated rather. So on here it says D, so I'll just make a motion to change it from D to a U for purposes of the discussion.
I'll
second it. Yeah, I'll second.
Thank you, Nancy. So I just want to acknowledge that Heather applied for this position back in June, along with another applicant, and I took the recommendation of the Affordable Housing Commission for the other person, but had told Heather we would keep her application on file, and when a position opened up that we would allow her to serve. So I wasn't, my office was not aware of any party affiliation change at the time of this agenda being printed, and we're only made aware of it this morning. So that's why we needed the amendment. Sure, go ahead.
I just want to clarify for the record that it does not have to be, the appointment does not need to be a Democrat because there is already party balance in the way the charter needs to be. So for anyone wondering, there's already a Democrat on the committee and it's fine to have an unaffiliated voter. So that's where that comes in.
Got it.
Thank you. All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Aye.
And we're back to the main appointment. Heather has been an active, she is unable to be on the call today. Her daughter had a dental appointment that she wanted to be with her at. And I know sometimes we aren't able to have people with us, but I know that Selectwoman Lefkowitz did have a chance to speak to Heather this morning. And I know Heather has been an active participant in the community on housing issues. And so she has, I think, a real passion for this work and to assist the Affordable Housing Commission in concert with the town to work on establishing affordable housing on our own and to be more in control of our destiny, as it were. So I just wanted to share that with the board, and I would open it up if anybody would like to make any comments.
Yeah, and I'm sorry she can't join us so that she can speak for herself, but in light of that, we did have a conversation, as you alluded to, and she is passionate about the issue and is an advocate for a robust plan that includes affordable housing in it long term, and engaging the public on those in those conversations. And I hope that we will hear from her down the line, but she's certainly been a vocal activist and advocate on the issue. And as I said, we did have a long conversation this morning, and happy to support her nomination.
Thank you. Mr. Flynn, do you have anything?
No, I thank her for her willingness to serve. This is an important issue for the town. I do have a comment subsequent to this, unrelated to her nomination, but I thank her and wish her well in the position.
Thank you. All right, there's no other comments. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Item number B is appointment of Bruce Prangley to serve to fill a vacancy for Edward Cosgrove, who resigned. This appointment goes to 11/22, November 2022. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
And I believe Bruce is on the line.
Yes. Yes, I am.
Oh, okay. Hi, Bruce.
Hi. How are you? Can you
Good.
hear me?
Thank you for stepping up to serve on this. You know, this committee has actually been really beneficial to my office during especially the pandemic, when so many people were out walking and biking and complaining to me about safety and all these other issues. And we referred a lot of that to the committee, and they were really awesome in responding and getting information out to our residents.
Cool.
So they were really helpful. And so thank you for stepping up to serve on it.
Oh, I appreciate it. I appreciate the opportunity. It is it's something that I'm personally interested in. I'm a runner, so I run on all the roads.
Oh, great.
And you know, would love to feel safe. So.
Well, thank you.
More than there. Yes.
I'll open it up
Okay.
to the board.
Yeah, thank you so much for stepping in and for valuing the importance of this committee and this work, and you see it firsthand. And I appreciate that personally, and certainly as someone who lives here and wants us all to feel safe on our streets that way. So thank you for stepping in and for doing the hard work.
I'd just like to add my appreciation for your willingness to serve, and best of luck in the new position. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Well, if there's no
All right.
further discussion, I will call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Congratulations, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item is item number 5C. We have Scott Craighead, who is going to fill a vacancy for Ann Catus, who resigned from the Bike and Pedestrian Committee. And I believe Scott is on the line. Hi, Scott.
Brenda, how are you? For Selectmen, nice to see you.
Nice to see you. And as I said, you know, this is an important committee, and you're going to be a lot of requests from our public. So it's very helpful for our town, and I do appreciate you stepping up.
Good, well, thank you. Bruce being a runner, it's great because I'm a cyclist. So you've got both those boxes checked here.
There you go. Perfect.
But thank you. I've been I guess a townsperson for 25 years and quite active cyclist, but I also do walk up at Larson Sanctuary Audubon.
Oh, nice.
So I've known Nate Rex as one of the committee members for quite some time. Had a chance to catch up with Keith Gallinelli, of course, the committee chairperson, and we talked about the goals. So I look very much forward to the opportunity to serve, and to Bruce's point as well, and yours also, make the town as safe as possible. And for those who want to participate as a runner, walker, biker, whatever it might be, to provide them the opportunity to do so. So I know it's a 4-year commitment, and I'm willing to take it in charge. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Nancy or Tom?
Yeah, thanks for stepping in for all the reasons. for keeping the bike lanes clear and open and more abundant.
I'd also like to thank, I've known Scott for quite some time. Our daughters grew up together. So I'd like to thank you, Scott, for your willingness to serve. Also, what I didn't realize is, I guess due to the pandemic, there happens to be a bike shortage now. It's hard to actually purchase bicycles, and the prices have gone outrageous as well. I found out firsthand in the last few weeks. So good luck with that. See if you guys can't work on the prices of bicycles, huh?
I've got a couple in my garage, Tom, if you're interested, if you want to make me a good offer.
Scott, you should have said that after the vote, man.
Thank you for the opportunity to serve.
Take care.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations and thanks again.
Thank you. Do you mind if I hop off? Are we good? Or?
No, you're good.
Good.
You're welcome to stay,
Okay,
but you're
thank
free
you.
to leave.
And thank you for serving.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Good.
you.
Three of
Bye-bye.
All right,
Take care, gentlemen. Thank you.
Take care.
Bruce, nice to meet you.
Nice
Thank
to meet
you.
you, Scott, too. Bye.
The next item is item D. Beverly is on here. Beverly Vanier.
I'm here. Could
Am
you
I
hear me?
pronouncing it correctly? Vanier?
It doesn't matter.
Okay.
fine. I
Well,
mean,
I want to
I
pronounce
say
it right.
veneer. No, it's okay. I mean, I say veneer. People tell me I'm wrong. I'm butchering the French. That's fine.
Okay. Well, this is an appointment to the Racial Equity and Justice Task Force, and Beverly is going to be replacing Alexandra Acampo. And do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
So moved.
Okay.
Second,
And-
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. And so I'll open it up to the board.
Yeah, Beverly, first of all, you're stepping into big shoes. Alex was a great participant and for personal reasons had to step down, but Beverly has participated in some of our discussions, and Beverly, just thank you for throwing your hat into this ring, and look forward to working with you, and look forward to seeing you Thursday night
I know, via Zoom.
via Zoom. Thank you.
Since you guys were speaking about bikes, I am a biker as well. And I know that one person left. Any place to repair or do any maintenance? Because the places I know are one is sold out, the one that was next to Malto, and then the older guy off Reef Road
Yeah.
is no longer with us. Where do you guys go?
I heard that too, actually, because my bike needs
Yeah.
a new tire.
I'm actually
I heard
taking a,
Westport has. I don't know if we have one, but I heard
That's
that
right.
there's a place in Westport.
there's a place on the post road in Westport that I'm actually going to tomorrow. So
Oh, really? Oh,
for
what's the name?
bike
Do you know?
repairs.
And I'll send you offline. I have a good mobile guy.
Ooh.
Yeah, good. Send it to me too, Nance.
I will, I
Sure.
will.
Me too, Nance.
We digress.
I have an older bike, so a hybrid.
There you go.
Beverly, I look forward to supporting your nomination here today, and thank you for stepping up.
Yes,
so much.
Beverly, thank you for your willingness to serve on this committee. Most appreciated, and best of luck.
Thanks again. Take care.
And I will welcome you the same way I've welcomed every member of the task force, that my door's open and my line is open. And if you ever have any questions or anything at all that you'd like to talk to me about, I'm here to listen.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Selectmen, Selectwomen. Thanks.
Well, if there's no further discussion, I will call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Congratulations.
Thanks again.
And
Beverly.
thank you for
Thank
stepping up
you.
to serve, Beverly.
I have pickup duty, so I'm gonna leave you.
Oh,
My
okay,
daughter-
I got it. That's fine. Take care.
She just track with Ludlow High School, so I'm gonna be on my way now.
Take care now.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. The next item is 6. This is for information only purposes for select woman appointments. The Conservation Commission alternate. This is replacing Richard Boucher of Bronson Road is replacing Brian McMahon, who moved up to a full member. If you remember, we placed him as a full member. He was an alternate. And then we have Amanda Mertis, who I've been putting, if you notice, for a while into the newsletter about open boards and commissions with a link, which is really nice because we're getting more people kind of getting engaged in our boards and commissions. And so, Amanda, your resume is very impressive, and I think you're going to be a welcome addition to this board. So I appreciate you stepping up. And Richard is also on this line. I think he is. Richard, are you on? I don't see him. But so these are two appointments that I'm making to fill our alternates. As you both know, we had quite a bit of movement on this commission over the last 6 months. So thank you. Thank you, Amanda, for stepping up to serve on this. This is an important commission in our town, and a lot of activity passes through it. So we do really appreciate it. And I'm going to open it up to the board. I think you're on mute, Amanda.
Thank you both.
And I'll open it up to Nancy or Tom if you have any comments just to welcome or.
Yeah, just thank you and welcome, both those things. Thank you very much for stepping up to serve.
I agree. Thank you so much. And best of luck.
So I'll tell you, Amanda, like I tell everyone, you're welcome to stay, but you don't have to. Okay, and Amanda, if you have any questions or anything, feel free to give me a call at Town Hall. All right, take care. All right, our next item is number 7, to hear a presentation from the Fairfield Equity Coalition and Rise Up on a mural campaign encompassing diversity, equity, and equality. And we have, I'm going to definitely butcher this first name. Sorry. Lineika? Is that right?
It's Lenasia.
Lenasia. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, that's really pretty.
Thank you.
President of the Fairfield Equity Coalition, and Matt Conway, founder of the executive director of Rise Up, and are going to give us a short presentation, and then we're going to open it up for any questions from the board. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you so much. Can I screen share a presentation?
Sure. Think so.
All right. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Perfect. So,
Yes.
okay, would you guys like this full screen, or is this okay with everyone?
This looks good.
Okay. I want to begin by thanking everyone for having us here today and putting us on the agenda. My name is Lenasia. I am the president of the Fairfield Equity Coalition, like you just mentioned. We have partnered up with Rise Up Art. They are a equity mural. They're on an equity mural tour. And this is a little bit about Fairfield Equity Coalition. And just with timing, I'll just do a quick briefing. We strive for educational equity within Fairfield and equity within general within Fairfield. And that comes in many different forms. And today we'll be talking about it in the form of art. So I'll pass it over to Matt, and he can give a little briefing about Rise Up and who they are.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you everyone for having us here today. So Rise Up for Arts is Connecticut's only statewide public art nonprofit with a mission to help communities imagine what's possible. We've done over 25 public art projects throughout Connecticut since 2015. And this year we launched our MLK 39 Racial Equity Mural Tour, where we're partnering with 39 communities across Connecticut to do 39 murals representing racial equality, justice, and diversity in each of the communities. It's a very, very community-centric approach where we're working with local community members to get feedback in each specific town on what they want this mural to look like and represent. We have local call to artists as well to see if we can find local talent first that's able to execute a large-scale mural. And it's really a collective community-wide fundraising strategy as well. Sustainable CT is funding the most of the murals we're unveiling in June. So that's funding options. We've also talked to Fairfield Community Foundation about possibly funding this project as well. But it's also going to be a group effort to raise the funds. So we're here today really to gain support from the Board of Selectmen and all the other communities we go to do this work. It's really getting the town behind it, the town leadership behind it. It makes it much easier to raise the money, find the location for the walls, get approvals if it's on a public building. So we're really here to get this group's support behind the project.
Yeah, so kind of going off of what Matt had said, there's a lot of important policies. These are just a few explanations. Is they beautify towns and cities, and it becomes an attraction that people within Fairfield and outside of Fairfield can look forward to seeing this. They also build communities, and the process that Matt goes through, it's very much community orientated, which is very good, and that's something that Fairfield that's an importance to us, and that's something that we want to keep constant within the mural, as well as provide a sense of comfort and joy to the residents. So this is very equity based, so everyone will feel included and feel heard and seen within it by having this mural, but also representation of our town's values. So as we are shifting into adapting more anti-racism and equity formats and discussions and all that sort of thing, this is a really good kickoff to the upcoming year to have this in Fairfield. And Matt will just go through the murals that he has done within his tour and what they have done for those communities. And these are just some examples of that in the news.
Yeah, this has just been getting really great news coverage. Anywhere we've announced that we're coming to the town to do the mural, there's been great positive publicity around it. Particularly hearing from residents themselves and what this means to them, and what it means to marginalized individuals in communities that have been, and still are predominantly white. It's a way for communities to demonstrate that they are welcome and open to a diverse population. And that's really what it's all about, is setting up those systems and that environment to have a welcoming and open community. If you want to jump to maybe the budget. Or
do you want to go through this?
Yeah, so these are just the different towns that we currently have some form of planning in, from having an unveiling date scheduled. So we have 6 murals unveiling on Juneteenth. We're scheduling another batch of unveilings for Indigenous People Day. So Putnam, Mansfield, Southington will probably end up in that batch. But we're also unveiling, anywhere in between throughout the summertime and other days as well. But some communities have wanted to kind of pick an important day to unveil around. So you'll all be able to watch the June 19th unveiling across the state. We have a live stream happening with TV production crews in each of the locations. So you'll be able to see live how we really put together these events and unveil them, because it's more than just a one-day, one-and-done mural type of opportunity. Each mural costs $15,000. Like I said, most of these initial murals are being funded half by Sustainable CT and half by the community at large. Other murals, we're getting grants to provide match funding, but a big chunk of it is being raised by community members themselves, getting small businesses to donate, local town committees to donate. The majority of the cost does go to producing a high-level professional mural that's going to last for 15, 20 years, with little to no maintenance. And then the rest of the funding is for the unveiling ceremony itself, and also our partnership with Connecticut Center of Nonviolence, which will do a half-day Kingian nonviolence training session. So Martin Luther King's 6 principles of nonviolence around racism and equality and bringing together unity. Connecticut Center of Nonviolence comes in and will teach that to each of the communities as well. This is to hire a DJ for the unveiling, have a videographer, photographer, capture, beginning to end this event, so the town and community has a nice video and pictures to share this moment with, and then other just costs that may be associated with an unveiling day.
Yeah, and also one thing I just want to add is with being in a pandemic, this will also cover possible masks and hand sanitizer and stuff like that to keep it to where this is safe for everyone as well. And then these are just some possible and potential locations. We haven't secured a location definitely, but these are just some examples, and something that really stands out to me is this sentence of, these are not blank walls, these are blank canvases. So you may see this wall as just a brick wall, but it's an opportunity for a canvas to be formed and beautified. So these are just some examples within Fairfield. It's not limited, or these are not concrete answers. It's just to get a vision started, and so that you guys see our vision as well. So that's essentially it for this. I just would like to share some comments from a question or something that was posted in Nextdoor from Fairfield members that have responded to a possible mural within Fairfield very quickly with all of you. So let me just stop sharing for a second and I can pull this up very quickly. Sorry about that. Okay, let me just pull this up. Sorry about that. I don't know if I'll be able to find them right now, and I don't want to waste any more time or take any time up, but they were a lot of positive responses, which is kind of unheard of from Nextdoor. I have found responses, so I'll just share that to just get an idea of what Fairfield's thinking about this. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so these are just some examples of what people had said in response to this. Someone had said, change the whole look of the city. It looks really good. Great idea. Fabulous idea. Bravo. Love the idea. Great idea. So already, it was already posted and presented to everyone, and this was the response that we had gotten from them. So just a little introduction of how Fairfield sees this. That is essentially it for our presentation. Again, like Matt had said, we just really want support from all of you on this to get this started. If anyone has any questions, thank you again for adding us to the agenda and listening to our presentation. Does anyone have any questions about what we had said or any concerns?
So Lenasia and Matt, thank you for taking the time to be here today and present this. It's a really lovely idea, and I think it'd be a wonderful addition to our town. Any artwork at all, especially one of some, is welcomed. And I like some of the ideas that you showed or where we could potentially do this. I think these are great. And so I will open it up to the board to ask questions or make comments. Sure, Nancy, go right ahead.
I do. Lenasia, are you a graduate of Ward High School?
Yes, I am.
Just wanted to point that out, that you have real roots here and are committed to this work, and we know each other through the work that you've been doing with the Equity Coalition. And I want to thank both you and Matt for being here today. I love, what resonates with me particularly is these are not blank walls, these are blank canvases. It's incredible what some paint can do for the psyche and the soul of a community, and art has a way. I mean, my day job is spent really in this world about the power of the arts, and the power that it has to bring communities together and heal and be cohesive. And I love this. I do have a few concrete questions. In some of our side discussions, I know you've been talking to Mark Barnhart. So have you been able to talk about, and it sounds like in some cases you've been moving forward, whether it's on public property or private. Have you had a conversation about two things, what you would do if you were proceeding kind of without town support and what it would look like if you had to go and find a private wall. Like, have you sort of thought about that? And can you also talk a little bit more about the artist selection process and how you come up with artwork and how you could really, how we collectively could engage the community in that process so that people feel that they are a part of it ultimately?
Yeah, I can talk a little bit about the two different processes, and then Matt can piggyback off of me and talk about the selection process. But we have looked at many different avenues, different stakeholders in Fairfield to get perspective on if private or public property would be best fit. And again, we're still in the process of that. So we have gone down looking at both routes of private or public property. But again, we don't have anything concrete. We're still in the works of doing this in sense of finding someone that's either willing to put this on their property or finding someone that we talk to through discussion. So again, it's still work in progress. I'll hand this over to Matt to answer the rest of that question and the other question.
Yeah, and just to talk a little bit more on that, the process is really the same, whether it's public or private from our end. It's just a matter of like who needs to say yes and where we need to send a contract to and our insurance to and all of that. Other towns, you know, we have been finding public walls are just more appropriate. So in Manchester, it's going on a community center. In Bloomfield, it's going on their human services center. In West Hartford, it's going right in the center of town on the side of their library at Blueback Square. In Torrington and New Haven, they're going on private walls. One is a laundromat that's right in between a school and a library. So it's still very public to those two public buildings. And then in Torrington, it's going on a long time building owner. His family owns like half of downtown Torrington, going on one of his buildings. So, but in all of those towns, the town itself has been supportive behind the project.
And then if you could talk about the selection of the artist and
Yep.
the actual execution, you have a template for that and it's pretty turnkey or?
Yeah, so we have a call to artists that's been out there for a few months, and artists are always, you know, willing to or able to submit through it. But as we go into each specific town, we also kind of push it locally in that town because we want to find artists specific to that geography. You know, painting a mural is also much different than painting on a canvas. So someone could be a brilliant artist on canvas, but have never done a large-scale mural before. We wouldn't necessarily want them to be a lead artist for the first mural in town. So in those cases, we do have a team of nationally recognized mural artists. This is what they do for a living. They travel around the country. So if we cannot find a local artist through the call to artists, we do have a team willing, ready, and able from broader Connecticut to come in and do the mural and lead emerging artists from Fairfield. So 2 Fairfield artists will still get paid, but they won't be the head artist if we can't find one that has mural experience. So it's all about empowering the local artists, but if we don't have an artist available from that town, we also have other Connecticut-based artists that can make this mural happen at a very, very high quality level. And the group, you know, doing the project itself. So we have, you know, a few of us that meet regularly. I'm obviously out of the question when it's coming to picking the artist. I advise, but it's typically the group that we're leading the project with locally. Nancy, the Fairfield Equity Coalition. They'd also ultimately have the ultimate say in who's going to be the artist. And the design itself, like I mentioned earlier, the artist is informed through community survey and community responses. So we make sure we do community outreach. Artist takes that information and does a little design from that.
So, do me, Nancy, are you done? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, it's fine.
Thank you both for being here today and for the presentation. Quick question. What is a timeline on something like this? Just give me kind of, what happens here.
Yeah, best case scenario, like, we get off this phone call of buildings approved and we could start fundraising tomorrow and do community outreach. I give it 3 months, but 3 to 6 months is the typical time frame from like when we get the town's buy-in to when we find the wall, do the community survey, identify the artists, all that good stuff. It could take 3 to 6 months.
3 to 6 months. Okay. Yep. Just Matt, just to be clear, and I'm looking at the agenda here, this is just a presentation. There's no vote on this today from what's on our agenda, just so that I just read the item. So I just wanted to clear up that. Next question I have is, talk to me a little bit about that survey process. Who gets surveyed? And the reason I ask this is, should the town decide to go forward with something like this, particularly on a public building, we're a very historic town and community. And even if you went into the first select woman's office, or you go over to town hall, or you look at anything, we've always tried to keep it, and it's far predates me, we've always tried to keep whatever the murals are or the paintings are relevant to Fairfield's history. And I'd be, assuming this were to move forward or something like that, I'd be very interested to make sure that whatever gets put out there was directly relevant to the history of Fairfield, as opposed to some broader relevance, particularly if it went on a public building, just in keeping with what we've done on other of our public buildings inside.
Yeah, and so the survey asked those exact questions. Who else do you want to see in this mural? So in Torrington, for example, John Brown is going to be featured in that mural. He's from Torrington, but he also has serious ties to the anti-slavery movement. So he's someone who Torrington, and there's a John Brown Museum in Torrington. That's someone who the community said, we want John Brown in this mural as well. That's how they're connecting it back to Torrington. In Manchester, there's another local woman who was voted on through the community survey. We want, Dr. Diane Claire Kearney represented in this mural. West Hartford, very similar thing. It's almost going to be a history lesson of civil rights from people who've had their mark in West Hartford. So it's very, very community centric on how and who this mural is going to represent.
Is this all based on, I hear Martin Luther King being referenced, I hear John Brown in that. Is this all based on African American and inclusion in that way, or is this broader?
Well, John Brown's a white guy.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yes. But this is a mural campaign specific around diversity and inclusion in communities. So people or groups or individuals that have had a positive impact on diversity and inclusion, whether locally or nationally.
Right. I was just trying to get to, and I know John Brown, but I was trying to get, is it for Asian? Is it for our Jewish friends?
Yeah. So that's a great point. Yeah. So we are, opening this up. It's not just, African American. It's anyone who has been, oppressed at some point in life. And that's why, Indigenous People Day, we may see a more of a tie into some of that out in the October unveiling. So,
and
okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong, and I just want to interject because the whole premise is about nonviolent approach to inclusion. And so, for instance, Gandhi as a Martin Luther King sort of espousing those practices. So, to Tom's point, inclusion broadly for marginalized peoples.
Right.
So sorry, Lenasia, did you want to say something?
No, it's okay. You can go. It's all right.
I was going to ask then, Tom, to your point, since this is not an actionable thing, is the idea then for this group to come back for a voting item? Is that what is it that we would need to do to help you get to that next step? Or do you not need the way it works? I don't know. I'm sort of.
Well, let me jump in for a minute, Nancy. Thank you for bringing that up. So can you both tell me how this works in other towns, right? So for example, you give us this presentation. Do you then come back and say, here's what we have? This is the spot. You work with the town and you put together a proposal. Here's the location we'd like. Here's the artwork. Here's the artist, that kind of thing. And then some approval from town bodies. If it is a public building, obviously, if it's a private building, they don't need our approval.
Yeah, no.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about that? How that works?
Yeah, some towns we haven't had to do any type of voting or anything like that. The towns already had the wall, and they're, everyone already supports it, and we just make it happen.
Right.
But to be eligible for sustainable CT money, if that's the approach we go, having the town support that, sustainable CT wants to see that the town is backing the project. So then Fairfield gets points to their, sustainable CT certification. And it also, just saying that this is a town endorsed process helps us when we go to the Community Foundation of Fairfield, and we go out to businesses to ask for them to raise money. It's not necessarily permission to do this project, because there's ways to do it without, the commission, this board's approval, but it's really to get your buy-in, because it makes all the other steps just that much easier, and
that makes sense. That's helpful. And, I actually met with our sustainable task force today. They give a yearly update to me, and they talked about this. And I hadn't even been aware that they were so intricately involved, right? Because you just don't think that they kind of fit, but in our report card and all of that. So thank you for clarifying that. I think that helps for the board to be able to understand this a little bit better. Personally, I support it. I think it's a great idea. And I think it would be wonderful to have at any of the locations that you pointed out. I think they'd be particularly beautiful actually at the train station, because it's so drab and boring down there. I mean, it would be, and maybe when we catch on, like more murals would be put down there to make it more vibrant and interesting to be there. So at any rate, that's my piece and my point of view. And
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I echo, I think this is really untouched real estate. When you have people coming in past that train, like beautifying that corridor, and with that message of inclusion really resonates, and to do something that's thoughtful and has community buy-in as much as possible, I think is great. And I echo what Brenda says. This has my support, and whatever you need that I can be helpful in the role that I can, happy to do so.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I'm very interested to hear more as you move forward, what the ideas are and how you incorporate the history of Fairfield into a project such as this as it moves forward. So thank you for your time today. I appreciate you getting on the call with us.
Thank you so much for
thank
taking
you.
time to listen. Thank you very much. Thank you again.
And
Thank
best of luck with your unveiling in the other communities as they come up.
Awesome. Thank you.
Can I, sorry, just so I'm clear, Brenda, will this group come back before us, or is there an obvious next step, or is that something you want to talk about offline?
As Matt was just speaking about, so I think you're going to identify a location, right? I think it would come back to us, Nancy, if it was one of our spaces.
Okay.
I don't know how this works with train stations, for example. Let's just take the Metro Center for where I think it would be perfect, because it's really drab down there. Does the state have to sign off on it because it's partnership with the town and all of that?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how that works, but I would imagine. I think the Board of Selectmen likes this idea. But we want to, if it's a public piece and we have to be involved in some way, I don't know, right? You want to try to jump in on that, Matt?
Yeah, if DOT owns that wall, so I had an issue with jurisdiction on a wall by Hartford's train station, whether it was owned by Amtrak, the state, the whole work. So we'd have to figure out which entity actually has the jurisdiction. If it's state DOT, I have all the applications, the permit paperwork, for us to submit a request to them. And it would require this committee's approval and sign off from the first select woman. So it would definitely, if we went that route, it would definitely come back to this board for approval.
Thank you. That's helpful. Does that answer, Nancy, for you?
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you, Matt. Sounds like you are well versed in how to jump through these hoops. So look forward to hearing more. Beautify our train
so much.
stations.
That's it.
Thank you again for listening and letting us present to you all. And I'm really excited that from the responses that we heard tonight. So thank you again.
Thank you. Thanks, Lenasia. Bye, Matt.
Thank you.
Thank you
thank
both
you.
Thank
very
you.
much.
Thank
Have
you
a
so
good
much.
evening.
Bye.
Bye.
So our next item, item number 8, is the purchasing authority. Select woman, do you have a?
Yeah, can I move to waive the readings of the next 3 agenda items?
So moved. Seconded.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right, so this item is, Julie DeMarco is on the line with Gerald, and this is to discuss the senior center facility, and I'll hand it over to them. Gerald?
Hi, everybody. This is Julie, and I believe Gerald's on here too.
Hi, Julie.
Hey, how's it going?
Okay.
I really hope Gerald's on here too because
Yeah, he
I don't
is.
want to hear my
He is.
speak. Phew.
Gerald, are you on mute? Can you hear us?
Smartest thing you said all day, Gerald. There you go.
Sorry about that. I didn't realize I was on mute. Sorry.
Please just give me a
so
heart
this is
attack, Gerald.
yeah, I was talking and I wasn't getting a response, so I should have caught on that I was on mute. So my apologies. This item here, what we did is we went out for an RFP. This is for architectural design services and a facility plan for the Bigelow Senior Center. What we had done is in the RFP, we had identified 6 major, or what we'll call critical project components that we wanted the facility to be kind of updated. So we had upgrading of the bathrooms to meet ADA compliance, upgrading the kitchen, upgrading heating, ventilation, air conditioning, replacement of a boiler, replacement of windows, and then we had some general abatement throughout the whole building. So we went out for an RFP. We had pretty good response. We had, I believe it was 7 companies participated in the process. We went through all the submissions, and as a result of that, we recommended Silver Petroselli. And so with this project, there's one, I think it's the next item on the agenda. So this one's a little bit broader and a little bit more expansive than the following ones. So what we're going to have is this one has multiple stages. We have what's called a pre-design. Then we're doing the 10-year facility plan, and then we're going to do is a programming and schematic design. What we're going to do is we're going to start off with the 3 most critical elements and then proceed forward from there. This particular account, it's been budgeted for $100,000, and our intent is if it's approved that we would engage Silver Petroselli early part of May, and hopefully within 1 to 2 months we'll have completed the pre-design, and then the capital plan will be kind of dovetail. So basically stages 1 and 2 will be completed within a couple months.
So this is to put together the plan in order to address all those ADA compliant issues at the current
Correct.
senior center.
Correct.
Which will come
So
about with a bunch of recommendations and architectural plans and engineering designs that'll then have to be scoped out, and then if we move forward, funded. Is that a fair
Yeah, so in this particular, in this account, there's $100,000 is funded. So what we're having is once it's taking us through all steps of this, it's like 37,100 will basically take us all the way through construction administration. So prior to that, so we got basically it's from beginning to end, that 37,100. So we're hoping that as we go further on, that we're hoping to get them at least the top 3 items done within that budget. And then to your point, if there's a determination that there's a lot of additional items, yes, then we may have to go back and ask for additional funding to capture the other items.
So, and this would be over to Julie. Julie, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How you doing?
Good. So we spend this money, we get these, it's not really a study done. These are the actual, we're into the design phase here, right? The architectural and engineering design to address these issues. That means it's a long-term, in my view, to spend this kind of money and then to plan to spend the next kind of money. That means it's a commitment to this location in this building. Is that appropriate? Is that what your long-term view is for the senior center right now? To stay in this building, invest in this building, and utilize this going forward on a long-term basis?
It is. I support this plan. I think that we have an opportunity to make this a really shining star for the seniors. I love the location. There's other groups that would like to see a new center, but I really feel like we have an opportunity here, and I would like to plan to be in this facility long term. I think this is a great step towards that.
Is part of this plan, and I know this is the architectural firm and engineering firm, but how are we utilizing the fields around this building, being that it's an old school? Are we appropriately utilizing those fields and getting what we should out of those fields? Or should we be looking as to how we purpose those fields moving forward as well?
I know Parks and Rec uses the soccer field down, by our gym.
Right.
And Child's Garden uses the greens around it that goes along that Frank Rice Trail. We do have a senior walking group that does walk on those trails. And certainly we would look towards beautifying the outside of the building as well, perhaps, not necessarily a community garden, but some kind of raised beds. But the senior center does not use the fields, although the town really does. They were actively used all over vacation, and they are most of the summer with camps and other teams.
Yeah, I just want to make sure if we're going to do this, that we've committed to invest in this asset, that this is our long-term solution, and that from a field perspective, and I'm glad to hear the town is using it, but I just want to make sure we are utilizing the space down there outside of this building as well.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah,
then,
we definitely are.
Yeah, and Gerald, I want to know, when did we approve the funding for this? When was this actually approved, this $100,000?
It's actually now, it was the last budget year, so this is a
Yeah.
21 budget, and I think this particular project is taking a slower pace.
That's what I
we
was
just got
wondering.
off on tangents. Yeah, this one it took a lot longer to get the RFP ready and then to get it out and to get it back. This was one that we really should have done almost a year ago, but it just we couldn't get someone to basically be the point person in Public Works. We had as you know, a lot of transition there, and then dovetailing with Julie. This was nothing to do with Julie's lack of support. It was more on our end in terms of just getting cohesiveness in Public Works and getting them to kind of assist in terms of the development of the RFP.
And for the RFP and all that, we didn't just fall onto Silver Petroselli because we've worked with them before, have we?
No. So what we did on this particular one, unlike the one that it'll be subsequent, is we went out and we actually did an active RFP, a public solicitation, and we had 7 companies that participated. I'm sorry, take that, 8 companies that participated, and we reviewed all of their submissions. And Silver Petroselli had the best submission and overall the lowest cost. We had some of the submissions that were I think on the high end, we had one that was $291,000. And then on the extreme low end, we had Silver Petrocelli's, which was the $37,100. One step up from them, we had another company at $71,000. So given our exposure with Silver Petrocelli, with their very competitive fee, they had a very aggressive timeline. We just thought that it was a good fit for this project.
Are we going to get what you just said concerns me in a bit, because you had one group come in at 290 or something. You had another group the next that's at virtually double this one. My concern is, are we being penny wise and pound foolish? Do we get engineering? Hang on. Let me ask the question before you tell me how I'm wrong.
Go ahead. Yep.
Do we get incomplete information back and end up paying for more than we thought when we go to actually do work on the building? You see what I'm saying?
I hear you. So what we do is, when we put the RFPs out, we ask all the firms to give us estimates in terms of the hours. So what we have is, when we compared the amount of hours that Silver Petrocelli was giving to us compared to even to the high firm, it was shocking. The firm that was the 291,000 in some aspects was giving us less hours. So the Silver Petrocelli, it just gave us a very high level. And then back to your point, depending on the projects that we pick, we'll have to determine. So for instance, like on the Silver Petrocelli's, they gave us 32 hours of pre-design work. So depending on if we went down with a lot of mechanical, electrical, or plumbing, that might encompass the majority of those hours. On the architectural components, this Silver Petrocelli is a diverse firm, so it has architects and engineers combined, so they're not outsourcing. So some of the other companies have a tendency to outsource, and hence that's why their fees are a little higher. So we found that Silver Petrocelli, because they do a lot of stuff in-house, they can typically do it a little bit cheaper than some of the other firms. And we've also had very good luck with the paperwork and the documents that they've presented.
And that goes to my next point, which from a legal perspective, Mr. Baldwin, you're fine with this contract, I'm presuming?
Yes, that's correct. We've figured a few things out, and it's now in order.
Okay, and you have no reservations on us approving this from a legal perspective at this point?
I do not.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Foley. Mrs. DeMarco, do you have anything else to add?
You're welcome.
No, thank you.
Thank you. I'm done with my questions.
Nancy, do you have anything?
I think it's been covered. I'm good. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So if there's no further discussion, and all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, Gerald. Motion. Thank you, Julie.
You're welcome.
Motion
You're welcome.
carries unanimously. Item number 9. We waived the reading of the motion. This is the same. This is similar, Silver Petrocelli, and this is about the capital needs assessment plan for our town. This is something we're all pretty familiar with. This has been talked about quite a bit, this needs assessment. So do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
So now, yeah, Gerald, can you go through the process, the RFP process for this one, please?
Okay, so this one, what we did is about a year ago, we issued an RFP to go what we call on-call architectural design services. So what we did is we went out, we had 7 submissions, and from the 7 submissions, we shortlisted the 4 firms. So we have Silver Petrocelli, Antonazzi, we have I think Chris Associates, and then we had Bismarck. And so we had those 4 firms. And so what we've been doing is, and this is more so to kind of, in some regards, streamline some of the smaller projects, and in essence, go out, get proposals, get them back in, and be able to keep the projects moving forward. So what had happened with this project is what we did is we solicited from two companies. We solicited from Silver Petroselli and Antonazzi. The third firm that's on our on-call, I don't want to speak negatively of them, but they've been very, very slow to respond to us, and their fees have not been competitive. The fourth firm, they're on the list, and most of we haven't actually used them. It's a company called Bismarck, and they were put on when we were going to go basically do construction. So basically, you do like almost like a design build. So that hasn't come up. So anyway, the long and short of it was we had two submissions that we went out. So this was all done on behalf of Public Works. Because of the fact that we don't have these capital needs plans or 10-year plans for the town buildings, we met with John Marsilio, and John said that he would want to get a 10-year plan for 15 buildings, and you'll see them listed in the document. So what we did is we asked each of those two firms to go out, examine the buildings, and come back to us and present to us what it would be to do. Now, this one, unlike the previous one I spoke about, this one's not really, it's in depth in terms of they're doing a full review of the buildings, but what we're actually not doing, we're not doing any pre-design services, we're not doing any construction services. This is all just an assessment of each of the buildings. So what they'll do is they'll come back to us, but basically giving us, for the next 5 to 10 years, all the items that are, in essence, wrong with the buildings, and putting together a list that tells us what we need to be budgeting for each of the buildings.
Now, this was just approved this year, just a couple months ago. How did you go out and put together an RFP and all this kind of stuff before it?
Right. So what we did is we kind of dovetailed it. So what we did is we were contacting the firms as the process was going through the approval. So in other words, we tried to be like a step ahead, unlike the one that we just talked with previously, where we should have been doing the same thing. So this one we tried to stay a little ahead of the curve, and unfortunately John's not on the call, but he was because he's new, because he's. Oh, you are in the call? I'm sorry, John. I didn't see you on here. I'm sorry. Oh, you're calling number 7. I'm sorry.
So let me. You don't have to go through all the detail here. Let me ask, what's the timing of this? So you're going to go out, you're going to review all the buildings, you're going to come back and say there's these 40 things wrong with these 15 buildings, 40 things in each. Do we get a prioritized listing, and when is the timing of getting those lists so that we can start putting together a more robust capital plan on these town buildings?
So my understanding is, if you want to go ahead, John, and I'll chime in.
Well, in the past, yes. In the past, I've done these, and what happens is they'll go out and they'll examine, number 1, life safety issues, then number 2, roofs, air handling units, then the skin of the building, the windows, everything. And what they will do is they will do an analysis of the life expectancy of all of the major components of the building, and then they will lay them out in a 10-year plan for what they perceive as a timeline for replacement. So we will have
I understand that. How long will what is their deliverable date?
So I believe we would have something by September.
So they're going to work all summer to go to all these 15 locations and write up essentially 15 separate reports, and then put them into one master report and says this for these 15 properties, this is our 10-year plan, our recommendation.
Correct.
And it'll address all the major, what I would refer to as the mechanical issues. John, you probably have a better terminology for it, but that's what they're looking at is to basically make sure these buildings hit 21st century needs for the next umpty years. Is that fair to say?
That's fair to say.
Okay.
For the next 10 years. And they'll identify asbestos or some hazardous materials. They'll identify and highlight whatever they perceive to be maintenance items.
Well, it's a
or,
10-year, yeah, it's a 10-year work plan. It's not a 10-year life expectancy though, right? So this is,
Correct.
yeah, so the life expectancy theoretically should be much longer than that.
Correct.
If we-
They'll be over 10 years. There'll be a whole column there that says over 10 years.
Now, have we directed them to bring these up to 21st century standards? I'm thinking, you know, things such as what they're going to need infrastructure wise for information technology and things of that sort, as opposed to just make it safe, and efficient. Has that conversation been had in that regard?
No, we have not done that. What we're going to get is a snapshot of the structures that we have and what it would take to maintain those structures for the next 10 years.
Yeah,
on a year basis.
So based on you know, I think we should be looking a little bit more broadly than that, to be honest. Particularly for this price point, I think we should be looking at not just maintain it, but how do we improve it, right? How do we make this the true? Yeah, go ahead.
You need a program. In
Right.
other words, you'd have to program the building for what its ultimate use would be.
Right.
So
I agree.
If we want to research that, I mean, you'd need a round table and you'd have to have a discussion about these buildings, and someone would have to, you know, give us some guidance as to what the ultimate use of the building is going to be.
Why wouldn't we do that? I think that's the right way to do this.
Well,
So, Justice, could I just jump in a minute? This is to talk about doing an assessment of what we have before us. Those discussions would happen, I would assume, after we get the assessment. And then we can have a discussion as a community about how maybe we're looking at these buildings and how we're going to tackle the things that are going to come out of this assessment. This is just an assessment. We did talk about this quite a bit in the past. This is going to tell us everything needed, and then we as a community can decide what we're going to handle and how we're going to tackle it. So that's
no. But it doesn't. This only gives us, at least what I'm hearing, and maybe I'm hearing it wrong, is this just tells us how we maintain the buildings. This doesn't tell us how we bringing them up to 21st century standards for things such as information technology or things such of that sort. Now, if that's a phase two, as I recall, we put together $400,000 to $500,000 towards this study, of which it looks like we're using maybe 120. Okay, so maybe the answer is that is a phase two, but the reality is before we start building these buildings, or rather remodeling these buildings, renovate these buildings, doing those things, we should have a discussion as to the ultimate use of those buildings and how best to renovate them and bringing up to a standard of a 21st century office building, firehouse, whatever the heck that the structure is intended to be used for. So here's the assessment of life safety issues and envelope issues and roof issues, and then phase two of the same study to use another $100,000 or whatever the hell it is for those of that 500,000 to decide how do we make it a 21st century building, then I'm okay with that. But I just want to make sure that that's along the lines that we're going here, and we're not just looking to maintain what we have. See what I mean? I mean, John, do you have a view on that?
No, look, you can do anything you want. Once again, it's going to be a snapshot of what you have, and out of that, if you see that you're going to have a lot of major building components that are going to be failing very shortly, before you're going to put a lot of money into that building, you're going to sit and you're going to say to yourself, if I got to spend that kind of money, you know, what's the ultimate use of this building going to be, or what improvements could we make in the same line as you're speaking about, Tom? And so, yes, that is the second step. Once we have this,
yeah. Let me give you a concrete example of what I want to avoid, and this is why I bring this up. This is very near and dear to my heart, right? I was on the Board of Finance when we redid, for the second time in like 15 years, Fairfield Woods Middle School. We got done approving all the funding for Fairfield Woods Middle School. the design, all of it. Okay. About 9 months after we did that, we got approached with the fact that the public library up here, the Woods branch of the public library, was an absolute disaster. Okay, structurally and all that kind of stuff, and it needed a lot of work, whether it be the elevator, whether it be the roof, whether it be there was water issues in the basement, all that kind of stuff. Now, if we had thought more holistically, and shame on all of us for not at the time, we would have thought about when we redid the middle school, do we append the library to the middle school and build a brand new library up there, reclaim the space as to what that library was, have a better utilization and flow of that entire section, right? That entire footprint. Than doing it piecemeal and saying, well, how do we fix what we have? But we didn't have the foresight in putting that all together to do that. And I've always regretted that. So as we look at these town buildings and what needs to be done to maintain them, I want to make sure that we're actually planning appropriately for the future and say, what should this look like? What does this need to do over the next 20, 30, 40 years, as opposed to just missed opportunities? That's all. So I know we need the assessment to get this done, but when we get this back, before we start construction or building or any of that, we need to have that next level of what do we need to do with these buildings? That is my opinion on this.
So I agree. That's exactly what you should do. And if you had a building assessment of all the buildings in hand when you were doing the Fairfield Woods Library, maybe those problems would have been apparent, and you could have made a better decision. So that's the value of this. And going forward, of course, you can't ignore life safety issues, ADA compliance, and those items. So, in my opinion, we would go forward with only those critical issues, life safety, and beyond that, it's a toss-up, it's a jump ball, whatever you want to do. That's all programmatic.
That's not what I want to
for the building.
Yeah, and that's kind of not what I want to hear. What I want to hear is like, here's the game plan, right? We're going to do this. We're going to get the life safety issues, and then we're going to know what's there. Then we're going to figure out what the program is. We need somebody to run this. We can't just say, hey, moving forward, it's a jump ball. I really want a programmed approach to this.
I'm sorry, Tom. I didn't mean, it's a free-for-all. What I meant to say is it's open for anyone, actually the town leaders, your group, to begin the discussions of what your needs are. And once you establish what your needs are, and you have these buildings and you know what kind of condition they're in, you can start thinking about repurposing them.
That's right.
Or developing them into something that brings more value to the town.
Yeah, and I wasn't throwing that back at you, John. I was just basically saying, we need to commit to doing that as town leaders. We need to commit to the fact that we need to have those, and some of them could be difficult conversations on certain buildings that may not be worth sinking all that money into.
It's very difficult, Tom. I've tried it. It is very difficult, especially when you have a lot of moving parts, and it's very hard. You need consensus, and so you're right. Somebody has to quarterback it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for the discussion.
You're welcome.
Okay. Is there any further? Thank you. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. The next item actually is we were hoping that the contract would be finished from the company with our town attorney before it got here, and it's not in yet. So I'm going to, Attorney Baldwin, are you on the line?
Yes,
Jim?
sorry, I'm here.
Okay. We don't want to, what's the proper motion so that we can bring this back? It's not to, is it to table? It's not to table, it's just.
Move it to a
postpone.
date, move it to a date certain, which if you want, I can do that if you think it's going to be done by our next meeting.
Yeah, I
Attorney
think
Baldwin, that's what I was trying to ask him, Tom.
Oh,
Attorney
sorry.
Baldwin?
that's correct. The thing is that Mr. Foley can tell us just how urgent a matter this is because I thought it was important and needed to go on today's agenda, but of course you can't act on it right now since we don't have a contract. So whether it needs to go sooner than your next meeting in 2 weeks is the question for Gerald to answer.
Gerald, can you jump in on that?
Yeah, so what I was doing, this was on behalf again of John. We were trying to move some of these projects forward. So
Yep.
this one particular project, basically what we're doing is again, have a company that's going to go out and examine all of the town roads. So again, to dovetail with the next process in terms of actually putting a plan in place to do actual pavement work, it is somewhat time sensitive, but I don't think that 2 weeks is it won't be bad because I will have that within the next day or two. I will have a contract for Jim to review. So we will put it on to the next available budget. Oh, I'm sorry, next available meeting.
Okay, so that's helpful. So what we'll do is we're gonna post. Jim, can we just postpone, or does it have to be date certain? Because if it comes up sooner, we could always call a special meeting. So I want to have that option available. So, Jim, what do you think?
I think you can do that if you want, unless there's any objections from the other members of the board.
There's not for me. No.
Okay, so we could just motion to postpone.
A motion to postpone this item until such time as the contract is ready to be reviewed and signed.
There we go.
Based on counsel from the lawyer from our
And I second
town
it.
council.
Or any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Gerald, I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And thank you, Bucky. Item number
You're
11.
welcome.
Thank you.
To consider and act upon tax refunds as recommended by the tax collector in the amount of $8,216.83. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'll second it.
Any discussion?
None.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And to hear and consider and act upon any other business which could come before the meeting. And I also have a quick COVID update. Last Friday, the town had 4,995 cases, and 202 of our Fairfield residents sadly have lost their lives. I encouraged, but I want to just say that I'm really proud of our health department. As of last Friday, they had administered 19,575 vaccines to those eligible. And so that you know what they're doing. They're just amazing, like rock stars, best health department in the whole state. And I'm really, really proud of them. And I just want to reiterate, it was in my newsletter. I know it's all over the news and everyone knows that J&J was put on pause by the feds. The state followed those guidelines, as did we. And just until further notice, the Fairfield Health Department clinics will only administer the Moderna vaccine, which we had been doing. But we did have some J&J mixed in, which we're not going to be using, obviously, since that pause. And so if there's information will be posted on the health department. They post timely information. And then as it comes in during the week, it'll be in the newsletter on Friday. But I just wanted to give that bit of information.
Thank you.
All right, if
Madam-
there's no other business, I do have a meeting that I have to jump on really, I'm about 10, I'm already late. So if I could get a motion to adjourn, that would be awesome.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everybody. All right,
Thank you.
take care. Have a good night.